everyone, welcome to George's Library. My name is George, and today I want to talk about Committed by Elizabeth Gilbert. I was quite a skeptic when it comes to reading this book for quite a while. First of all, when I discovered that this book existed, I also discovered that the husband that she's committed to marrying here, she just divorced. Now, that information kind of kills the credibility of this commitment, if you know what I mean. I wasn't very sure if she is really the right person to tell me things about marriage. Yeah. Nonetheless, here I am, and with a surprisingly good review. Let's go back to Eat, Pray, Love for a second. Previously on Eat, Pray, Love, Gilbert is trying to get over a nasty divorce and miraculously receives a large enough book advance to spend the next year traveling the world in search for pleasure, spirituality, and love. That journey results in her finding healing and rebirth, and not to mention a passionate Brazilian lover. Committed tells the story of how she was forced to marry this passionate Brazilian lover and how she came to terms with that. This book is advertised as a sequel to Eat, Pray, Love. But really, although it follows the events of that first book, it really differs a lot in style. I wouldn't really call this book a memoir. I would rather call this a non-fiction book about marriage. Gilbert does mention some aspects of her own story, but the book spends more time on discussions about her research into the history and sociology of marriage in Western society. Many fans of the first book have expressed dislike about this one, and I think that had to do with expectations. The expectation of this being very similar to Eat, Pray, Love and just as approachable as Eat, Pray, Love, and so on. So then I will point that out. If you go into this one, it's best if you approach it as a non-fiction book rather than a memoir. And though other reviewers mentioned the fact that Gilbert isn't really covering any new ground here in terms of her research, I was very unfamiliar with a lot of the things that she talks about. So I have to admit, I did find this book quite interesting. Her research and writing about marriage is a mere attempt to convince herself, to ease herself into marriage, or to ease herself into the idea of getting remarried. And so she sets off to a historical, philosophical, psychological, religious, governmental explanation about marriage as an institution. She doesn't ask anyone to agree with her. She's not trying to convince anyone to get married or not to get married. She's merely enlisting changes that occurred in the Western marriage during the past century. All that being said, I think it's worth the read because you never know what might resonate with you. It is one of the few books I have read that no real resolution is reached, and yet life-changing action is still taken, for better or for worse. And that is one thing I believe we all can relate to. When torn between options that are equally distasteful, picking one and fearfully sticking to it, then forming your own beliefs around this decision to make it seem more appealing. Yeah. Alright, thanks for watching. I hope you stay safe, be kind, and keep on reading. I'll see you next time.